Okay. Okay, I think we are ready to begin. Yeah, this looks weird. Is this right? Can it be like this?
Yeah.
Okay. It's new to me. Do you not have these handouts? No? Some of you have them. But I don't see anybody with it. None of you have it.
Some people left actually. They attended the earlier session.
Okay. None of them have this?
Yeah, some people I think they left actually.
They took come and left.
Like I had a whole stack of the copies. So the sisters in it now. Yeah.
At least one between two, at the very least, so you can see what I'm speaking about. As you. Okay, we ready to begin? Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Inna alhamdulillah. نستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله رب يسر وعن يا كريم. Okay, so please try to get yourself in a position where you can see one of these handouts. We only have, I think, about 45 minutes until Maghrib. So this is going to be quite brief. So I suppose what I should begin by saying is do not consider this short class that we have today to be sufficient for your fiqh of fasting. Okay, fiqh of fasting should be studied in much more detail. As the Prophet ﷺ said in a sound hadith in Ibn Majah and in others, طلب العلم فريضة على كل Muslim. Seeking knowledge is an obligation on every single Muslim. So this is an obligation we must fulfill. With regards to fasting, this is a start. What we're going to do today, inshallah ta'ala, is a start. It does not suffice. Okay, so please don't consider this sufficient. Try to study a course on the fiqh of fasting, inshallah ta'ala. We are going to focus particularly on those things that nullify the fast and those things which do not nullify the fast. Okay, that's what your handout is all about. Feel free to ask questions at any time you like. Okay, you have we have no criteria where you have to wait until the end to ask your questions. Ask your questions whenever you like, inshallah. But ideally, raise your hand before you do so rather than just shouting out. If you raise your hand and I haven't seen you, maybe wave it a little bit, inshallah, but I will pay attention to you. Ask questions whenever you like, inshallah. A fiqh class without questions is not very beneficial. Okay, you have to have questions, inshallah ta'ala, to make it relevant to you and to understand it fully and well, inshallah. Right, so if you can see the handout, you have three columns here. On the left-hand side, those things that do not break the fast. Why have I put a list together of things that do not break the fast? Or more importantly, why do the fuqaha, the ulama, have sections in their books of fiqh that speak about things that do not break the fast? Because these are usually misconceptions people have, or it deals with differences of opinion amongst the ulama. And I'm sure people are aware our study here is going to be based on Hanafi fiqh. Is everybody aware of this, inshallah? Is according to the Hanafi madhab, inshallah. So some of the things, the scholars, they differ amongst themselves. Imam Shafi'i may have one opinion, Imam Abu Hanifa has another opinion, and those things are either there are common misconceptions in the Muslim community, or they are things that the ulama differ over. The scholars, they tend to have a section in the books of fiqh which speaks about things that do not break the fast. Theoretically, this list could go on and on and on and on. Okay, but this is what they focus on. So that's the first column there. The middle column speaks about those things that do break the fast, okay, but they require qada only. Okay, what does qada mean? Makeup. Okay, that they require one to make that fast up only. There's nothing beyond that. Okay. Sorry, specifically when I say nothing beyond that, I mean kafara. There is no kafara. Okay. I just want a quick idea. How many people have studied the fiqh of fasting before? Almost nobody. Okay, inshallah, I'll try to tone it down a little bit, inshallah. Okay, the last column there, okay, it says at the top, it says serious break, qada and kafara. I made some changes to this, they haven't come through. Right, the last section there, this speaks about those things that if you break your fast in this particular way, not only do you have to make the fast up and make tawbah for breaking it, as well as that you have to perform kafara. What is kafara? It's often in English, it's often translated as penance. Okay, you have to do for certain things in the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, making tawbah is not enough. Okay, you have to go a little bit further than that. Okay, for most things, alhamdulillah, by the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you make sincere tawbah, you stop doing that particular sin, and inshallah, that's your obligation done. For some things, that's not the case. Some of these things you may already be aware of. Somebody who swears an oath and then breaks that oath, can he simply just say astaghfirullah, or is there more that he has to do? More, what does he have to do? He has to pay a penalty, okay? He has to pay kafara. He has to free a slave, which is not relevant anymore, or he has to feed 10 poor people, or he has to clothe 10 poor people. That's the concept of kafara. It's clear for everybody? Sometimes it's called inaya, like I'm sure many of you have been to Hajj and Umrah. Okay? When you're in a state of ihram and you engage in a violation of ihram, like you use scent inadvertently, for example, or you pull out some hair or something like that happens. Is it sufficient to make tawbah? No. What else do you have to do? Have to pay something. Usually sadaqah. Sometimes, if it's a grave error, you have to give double. Okay, is that clear for everybody? Okay, an aspect of that applies to fasting as well. Okay, if you are fasting in the month of Ramadan, you are fasting the fard of Ramadan. I'm being very particular about this because there are misconceptions regarding it. Okay, if you are fasting in the month of Ramadan, okay, the fard of Ramadan, and you break your fast with something desirable, then not only do you have to make tawbah and make that fast up, you have to do something beyond, above and beyond that, which is called kafara. Get used to this word, it's in your handout as well. Clear for everybody? You have to do kafara above and beyond. Now, this kafara, the Prophet ﷺ spoke about it in a hadith in Sahih al-Bukhari. A man invalidated his fast in the month of Ramadan, came to the Prophet ﷺ, informed the Messenger of Allah ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ said, free a slave. He was a poor Sahabi. He said, Ya Rasulullah, I don't have it. Okay. The Prophet ﷺ said, who knows? Option number 2, fast 2 months. The wording of the hadith is fast 2 months, okay, but meaning 60 days. Okay, fast 2 months, 2 lunar months. Okay, he said, I am unable to do so. Maybe he was, his health wasn't so great. The hadith doesn't specify. Okay, then the Prophet ﷺ said to him, feed 60 poor people. He said, Ya Rasulullah, I have nothing. Okay, the hadith continues. After a little while, somebody gifted the Prophet ﷺ a large sack or container of dates. The Prophet ﷺ gave it to that man and told him to go feed the people. Clear for everybody? What do we find in this Mubarak hadith of the Messenger of Allah ﷺ? That this man broke his fast, and just simply making tawbah was not enough. He had to do something more than it. What is that something more? For fasting, a person who starts a fast in the month of Ramadan and then breaks it with something desirable, without any excuse whatsoever, valid excuse, then he has to free a slave. This we don't have anymore. So we go to option number 2, which is fast 2 months. Okay, some of you hopefully have come across this before, yes? That if you break a fast in Ramadan, you have to make it up and you have to fast 6 days on top of that. It's clear for everybody? That is called kafara. Now, to clarify a few points, we're actually going to start with this. Okay, this end here. It's the most serious of what we're going to study. There are some misunderstandings and some misconceptions with regards to this. Some people misunderstand it and they say that if in the month of Ramadan you are healthy and well and you choose not to fast, you have to perform kafara. Is that in line with the definition I gave you just earlier? No. Why? No, no, absolutely. But does no doubt he's sinful, it's haram what he's done, no doubt about that. But what I'm asking is, does this person have to do kafara based on the definition I gave you earlier, or the explanation I gave you earlier of who needs to do kafara?
No.
No. Why? He hasn't kept and then broken his fast. Is that clear? Okay. Somebody might say, "Oh, it's worse not to keep it rather than keep it and break it." I say, that's your mind. Okay, that's how you understand it. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he put kafara on people or on a person who kept it and invalidated it. And this is something very, very important to understand when we speak about the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Sharia. Okay? It's not a matter of what I think makes sense or what you think makes sense. It's a matter of what Quran and Hadith reviews. Quran and Hadith is above our sense. Okay, so you may hear people say, "Well, actually, it should be kafara as well if a person chooses not to keep it." From one perspective, that's worse. I'm sorry, I don't. I'm not interested, to be quite honest or blunt. I'm not interested in what you think is right or wrong. I'm interested in what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam revealed, and what the ulama of this deen, the imams of this ummah, understood from what the Quran and Hadith said. And this is what they understood. Okay, they said there is only kafara if you keep the fast and then you invalidate it without a valid excuse. Is that clear for everybody? Okay, so if a person chooses not to keep it, is that okay? Of course it's not okay. Is it a sin? Of course it's. If he's healthy and well, is it a sin? Of course it's a sin. Is it a kabira? Yes, it's a kabira. Does he need to make tawbah? Yes, he needs to make tawbah. Does he need to make up the fast? Yes, of course. He didn't fast, he needs to make it up later on. Clear for everybody? He must do all of those things, and it is a problem and it is an issue, but there is no kafara on it. Clear? Okay. Also, kafara, if a person like today, some of you may be fasting, some of you may fast tomorrow as Nisf Sha'ban, some of you may not fast, it's not obligatory, no problem, inshallah ta'ala. Okay. If you keep a nafal fast and then break it, does kafara apply to it? Based on the explanation I gave you earlier. Please remind me what I said. Kafara is when you keep a fast in Ramadan, and you're keeping the fard of Ramadan. If you fast tomorrow or the day after or today, are you fasting in Ramadan? No. Is it the fard of Ramadan? No. So there is no kafara. Kafara is only attached to the fard of Ramadan in Ramadan. It doesn't even, let alone nafal, it doesn't even attach to qada. I'm not speaking about sin. Of course it's sinful. You keep a fast and then you just break it for no reason. That's it. We're speaking about kafara. Okay? Even if you're making up a qada of Ramadan, like for example, somebody thinks, "Oh, last Ramadan I missed a fast. Let me quickly make that before the new Ramadan starts." The idea, do it, Bismillah. Okay, but you keep it and then you shouldn't, but for no good reason, you invalidate it. Just have some food in the middle of the day, you invalidate it. Is that wrong? Yes. Is it sinful? Yes. Does it require you to do kafara? No. Why? It's not in Ramadan. Okay? This is the understanding of the ulama generally, and certainly of the Hanafi school. They said kafara is only applicable to the Ramadan fard or Ramadan fast in the month of Ramadan. Clear? Right, let's just have a quick look at this list. So you're on the last column there on the right-hand side. Eating food which is desirable. If you are in the month of Ramadan, you start the fast of Ramadan, and you just decide to invalidate your fast with food, okay, normal food, then not only must you make tawbah and make that fast up, but you will have to do kafara on top of that, which is 60 consecutive days. Clear for everybody? That's item number one. And you may add to that, if you want to write it in or you just want to remember it, you may add to that drink. Okay, if you eat something or you drink something desirable. Okay. Why do they desirable? Because they say if it's not desirable, then it's still wrong, but there is no kafara for it. Okay, so for example, somebody strangely, stupidly, okay, in the month of Ramadan, he's chewing his pen, okay, and he just swallows some of it. Okay, it's wrong. It will break his fast. Is that kafara? No. Why not? It's not desirable. Okay, it's not something desirable. For that reason, there is no kafara upon it. Okay, so it has to be desirable. Number two, it says taking medication or medicine which is not required. Okay, obviously, if you are fasting and you fall ill, okay, and it's either too difficult or harmful to keep your fast, um, then you are permitted to invalidate it and take medication if you need to take medication. Clear for everybody? Okay. In that situation, if you required the medication, then there is no kafara upon you. No doubt you have to make this fast up, but there is no kafara upon you. Which kind of medication would require a kafara? Something which is not really required. Okay, so for example, a person is fasting and thinks, I'm going to break my fast, but I won't break it with food or with drink. Rather, I'll break it with vitamin tablets because that way it's not food. I will not have to make kafara. You will have to do kafara because this is medicine, which is not magic. Can you turn this on, please? Yeah. Okay. Number three, and this is what the hadith actually covered. The hadith of the Prophet ﷺ actually spoke about this issue, the issue of marital relations. A man came to the Prophet ﷺ as narrated in Sahih al-Bukhari. Okay. Sahih al-Bukhari, a man came to the Prophet ﷺ and he had engaged in this and he asked the Prophet ﷺ what he has to do, and the Prophet ﷺ said kafara is required. Clear? Okay, fine. I don't know why people have started to leave. Right, let's now move to the middle section. Okay. Now we're going to speak about those things that invalidate the fast, but there is no kafara required. Okay? Or, to put it another way, a makeup of this fast is required, a qada is required, but no kafara is required. Number one, accidentally eating or breaking the fast. Now, pay attention, please, and ask questions if you want to. In the Hanafi madhab, they said, if you accidentally eat or drink something, your fast is broken. What's the problem with that? Nobody have an issue with that? You have a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, again in Sahih Bukhari, where a man came to the Prophet ﷺ and he explained to the Messenger of Allah ﷺ, "O Messenger of Allah, I was fasting and I forgot that I was fasting and I ate something and I drank something." Clear? The Prophet ﷺ said to him, "Continue your fast, because indeed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has fed you and given you to drink." The point is, the Prophet ﷺ said, continue your fast. The fast was not broken. So why are the Hanafis saying, if you break your fast, okay, why are the Hanafis saying that if you break your fast accidentally, it is broken? Are they going against the hadith? No, they are not going against the hadith. Why? Because the hadith was speaking about a man who ate forgetfully. We are speaking about accidentally. Okay? These are two different concepts, and in Arabic language, each one has a different word to it. Anybody here know Arabic language? No Arabs in the audience? Okay? Forgetfully is called nisyan. Okay? Whereas accidentally or inadvertently is called khaba'an or khaba'. Okay? Even in English, these are two different concepts. You use one word for one, a different word for another. The Hanafi ulama, they say the hadith is specific to forgetfully eating or drinking. It will not break your fast. Whereas if a person does it accidentally, the fast will be broken. Are you all following that? Okay, so let's give you an example of each. Yeah, that's what I'll give you an example of each. Okay, you have a person, let's say the first day of Ramadan, more likely. Okay, first day of Ramadan, it's, I don't know, 11 a.m., 12 p.m., the middle of the day, and because he's not in the habit yet, or for whatever reason, he's thirsty, he forgets he's fasting. Thirsty, goes to the kitchen, gets a glass of water, starts to drink it. Okay, halfway through, he realizes, I'm fasting. Okay, what to do? Stop drinking. His fast is valid. He can carry on fasting. Why? Because when he was drinking that water, he was unaware or not conscious of the fact that I am fasting now. So we will classify that as nisyan, forgetfully. He drank something forgetfully. Clear? Okay. Whereas, give you another example. A person is fasting in the month of Ramadan. He's making wudu. He knows he's fasting. Therefore, what's he doing? He's trying to be careful not to swallow any water. Okay, so he's conscious. You see the difference here? He's conscious of the fact that he is fasting. So he's trying not to swallow any water. What happens whilst he's doing his madmada, he's rinsing his mouth, he swallows a little bit of water. His fast is broken. Is he sinful? Of course not. Okay? There is no sin upon him, okay? But his fast is broken. What to do now? Now he should continue his fast for the rest of the day, even though it's valid. This is, I don't have time to go into all of these concepts, but those of you studied a bit of fiqh before, this is called imsak. He has to practice imsak. This is not siyam anymore. He has to practice imsak for the remainder of the day. So the remainder of the day, he behaves as if he's fasting, even though his fast was broken, and then he needs to make it up later on. Is that clear for everybody? This is a common misunderstanding people have. This, oh, you're going to accidentally, your fast is not broken. Accidentally breaks the fast. This is according to the Hanafi method. They differentiate it. Okay? The hadith deals with nisyan, and obviously nobody will go against the Mubarak hadith of the Prophet. They take the hadith as it is. Now, one point, since we're on this, one point regarding this, when I said that he's making wudu and he accidentally swallows the water, his fast is broken. This is if he is sure he swallowed water. Okay, this is a general rule that we have, certainly in the Hanafi madhab. Al-yaqeen la yazulu bil-shak. Certainty is not removed by doubt. This is not just for fasting, it's for wudu, it's for salah, it's for many aspects of the sharia. Okay, certainty is not removed by shak. What's in this context? What does that mean? He knows for sure he is fasting because he started the fast that day. Now he's rinsing his mouth and he's unsure. Maybe I swallowed some water. Maybe I did not swallow some water. Are you all following? Okay. This maybe is not stronger, legally speaking, than the yaqeen, the certainty he has his fasting. Therefore, this doubt will not nullify the certainty of his fast. His fast will carry on. Okay? Have you studied the fiqh of wudu in this class? No, not really studied anything before. You have similar concept in wudu as well. I think maybe this happened. I think maybe that happened. Obviously, it's good to be careful. I'm not saying be reckless with your fast, but the point is, fast is not broken unless you are sure. You have certainty. Clear for everybody? Any questions so far? Okay, number two is just an example of number one. Swallowing water during wudu. Accidentally swallowing water during wudu will break your fast, as I just explained. Number three, eating something which is not desirable to eat, e.g. fingernails. I already gave you an example of this. Somebody in the month of Ramadan is chewing his pen, decides to, strong, it's strange, it's not unlikely to happen, but decides to swallow a little bit of the plastic here. His fast is broken. There is no kafara upon him. Why is there no kafara upon him? Not desirable. Okay. Number four, this is important, swallowing blood from within the mouth. Okay, again, this is a misconception people have. People think if you bleed from the mouth, your fast is broken. This is not the case. There are a lot of things that break the wudu that do not break the fast, and people get confused between them. Okay, and shortly we'll speak about vomiting as well. Okay, bleeding from your mouth, if you bleed quite a lot and the saliva is turned red or pink, will invalidate your wudu. Yes. Okay, it will not invalidate your fast. Your fast will only be invalidated if you swallow some of that blood, which you shouldn't do anyway. Blood is najis, according to our teaching. Blood is an impurity. You shouldn't be swallowing it. Okay, but if a person did swallow, maybe accidentally, okay, did swallow blood from within the mouth, that will break the fast. Okay, but once again, you do not assume you swallowed it. Okay, you're bleeding in the mouth. You think, I must have swallowed something. No, this is not how it works. Okay. If you're bleeding from the mouth, your wudu is broken. Fine. Is your fast broken? No, unless you are really quite sure that you swallowed some of that blood. If that's the case, your fast is broken, and if it's not the case, your fast is not broken. Clear? Okay. Number five, pouring water into the ear. This is a matter of difference of opinion amongst Hanafi scholars. Some Hanafi scholars consider this to be an invalidator of the fast. Others said this is not an invalidator of the fast, which is when you not inadvertently. We're not speaking about inadvertently here. Okay, here when a person purposely pours water into their ear, it's highly unlikely. Okay, so even that there's a difference of opinion over. Whereas if you are fasting and you decide to, take a shower, or even if you decide to go swimming, although you should do it in a halal way, obviously, okay? You decide to go swimming or to have a bath or have a shower, and water goes into your ear inadvertently as part of your washing, it's fine. Nobody considered that to be an invalidator of the fast, because the Sharia clearly permits us to have a shower, have a bath when you are fasting. Okay, and when you have a bath or wash yourself when you're fasting, it's quite likely water may get in there. Okay, so for it to happen inadvertently is overlooked, as opposed to eating and drinking. Okay, whereas if a person purposely puts water into the air, it will break the fast. Breaking the fast due to sickness. If you break your fast because you are very ill, and by not breaking the fast, you're going to get even more ill, or the pain is going to be unbearable for you, you are permitted to break your fast. You have to make it up, but there is no kafara upon you. Okay? Number 7, having no intention of fasting. Yeah, this one I just spoke about earlier. A person who chooses not to fast in the month of Ramadan, he's at home, he's not a traveler, he's healthy and he's well, just chooses not to fast. This is going to be sinful, but there is no kafara upon him. Okay, number 8, swallowing food from within the mouth, which is more than the size of a chickpea. No doubt, okay, before you start your fast, before the fast starts, you should rinse out your mouth. You should brush your teeth, use siwak, clean your mouth as much as you can. It's sunnah to have an incredibly clean mouth. Oral hygiene is a very important part of the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Muslims should be really the best at that. Okay, so yes, no doubt, before the fast starts, finish your meal, brush your teeth, clean your teeth, okay, before the fast starts. Now, however, if somebody either didn't do that or done it but didn't do a very good job, and there's residual food in his mouth, there's some food left in his mouth, then, Bismillah, then if he swallows this is food left over from before the fast started at suhoor time. Okay? If he swallows some of that food, it is overlooked, unless it is very large, relatively speaking. What's very large? Size of a chickpea. Okay? If it's size of a chickpea or bigger, then this is going to break your fast. If it's smaller than that, it will not break your fast. Clear? Okay. This is food left over from suhoor time. This doesn't mean when you're fasting, you put tiny bits of food in your mouth and leave them in there and say, oh, I swallowed something from within the mouth, but it was smaller than the size of a chickpea, therefore it's not speaking about it. This is food left over from Fajr time. Okay, this is an important one. Number 9, induced vomiting of more than a mouth. There is a sound hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Abi Dawud, Ibn Majah, and others, where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam explicitly said, okay, vomiting does not break your fast, but it's this part breaks your fast, which is induced vomiting, where you make yourself vomit. Is that clear for everybody? This is explicit in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. It's very clear in the Hanafi madhab. Despite that, I'm not sure why many people get this wrong. Many people have this idea that if you vomit, your fast is broken. It is not the case. If you vomit, and it's a mouthful or more, your wudu is broken. Yes, this is true. Your wudu is broken. Your fast does not break by you vomiting. Clear? Your fast will only break if you induce vomiting, and even then, you induced vomiting in such a way that the vomit was so much that it's not a small amount that just remains in your mouth. It's a mouthful or more. It basically either exits your mouth or it's too difficult to hold back. Clear for everybody? Okay, this is important. A lot of people get this wrong. Yes, I understand that if a person vomits, he's probably really unwell. Okay? And then because he's unwell, he might need to break his fast. Okay, fine, understood. He might be dehydrated now. He might need to break his fast and take some food. Fine, understood. Okay, but he might not. Or he might have vomited 20 minutes before the end of the fast. Okay, and that's the point. Even though it's understood, yes, that most people who vomit, they're really unwell. They might need to take medication. They might need some fluids. They might need this. They might need that. If they need that, go ahead and take it, inshallah. If it's required, go ahead and take it. But taking that is what's going to break your fast, not the vomiting itself. The vomiting itself did not break the fast. Clear? Okay. The vomiting only breaks the fast if it's induced. Number 10, taking an inhaler. Okay, taking an inhaler does invalidate the fast. Okay. I'm going to go into a little bit of detail, inshallah, you'll follow it. Okay. In the Hanafi madhab, when it comes to like gases, spray, steam, these kind of things, not liquid and solid, okay, these kind of things, we follow the following rule. We say, if it has a visible body to it, then inhaling that on purpose will invalidate your fast. If it has no visible body to it whatsoever, then smelling that or even inhaling it is not going to break your fast. Clear? Okay. Examples of this they give in the Hanafi books. They say if you put atar somewhere, like on your hand, you put atar on your hand, okay, and you smell it, it's not going to break your fast. Because usually when you have that, okay, and you smell it, is there a perceptible body of the scent flowing into your nose as you smell it? No, there's nothing there. Clear? Whereas, are you familiar with Bukhur, where they burn incense and you got that, scented smoke? That, if you were to inhale that whilst fasting, that will break your fast. Why? It's visible body. This is the smoke there is visible to the eye, and you're inhaling that, it's going to break. Clear? Okay. Same with the inhaler. Okay. Usually, all the inhalers I know of, they tend to have, when you spray it, there's a visible body there. Okay. Yes, it kind of disintegrates and it becomes invisible after a little while. But when you spray it, there's a visible body for it. This is why ulama generally of the Hanafi madhab, they give the fatwa that taking an inhaler will break your fast. Some people say it might become a necessity. Understood. It becomes a necessity, not just the inhaler, any medication that becomes a necessity, you take it. But it has broken your fast. There's no sin upon you because it became a necessity. It'll break your fast. Yes, brother.
Sorry, just got back to the book. So is it not permissible then to go around the house with the food just to deodorize the house? Not really, not because the food smells and stuff.
Yeah, that's a good question, brother. Yeah. What we say, again, in the Hanafi madhab, what we say is when it comes to food and drink, we are strict, or solids and liquids, we are strict. When it comes to these kind of things, there is a lot more leniency. Okay? What did I say about water? I said even if it's inadvertently, you're making wudu, you try not to swallow it, you swallow it, your fast is broken, yes? Whereas with this, with steam and smoke and these kind of things, it's more lenient. Meaning what? Meaning even if you're doing what you've said, it will not break your fast unless at some point you think, oh, let me inhale some of this. You see? With this, we are more lenient. If you do it on purpose, okay, you think, right, let me inhale some of this, it will break your fast. If you don't do it on purpose, it will not break your fast. To give you another example, sometimes in Ramadan, people have gatherings. Okay? Some of these gatherings, they will burn before, okay, to make it smell nice. Okay? We will say it's better not to do that in Ramadan, okay? But we're not going to say if you go to that majlis, you will inevitably inhale some of this, so your fast is broken. We're not that strict with this. Okay, with food and drink, yes. With this, we are not. We'll say, hey, it's better they don't do that, but if you go there and you're not purposely inhaling it, your fast is not going to break. Same with steam. A man or a woman who's cooking, okay, and there's steam, okay, may be inhaled. As long as a person doesn't do it on purpose, that, oh, let me take in some of this steam, the fast is going to do it. Question, Bismillah.
How about the smokes from the car, like smoke, especially
yeah, you have a lot of smog and such things. Again, we'll say, look, no, most 99% of people, as they're walking through, if they inhale this, it's inadvertent. Nobody's going to want to inhale it. If you have the odd, strange person who likes inhaling this and does it on purpose, okay, and it's like the cloud of smoke, or it's got smog that's going into the body, it will break their fast. Now, I'll give you another example. Okay, no doubt, smoking cigarettes, first of all, is prohibited. Secondly, it's going to break the fast. Okay, but once again, if it's inadvertent, it's not going to break the fast. So, for example, you're fasting, you walk past some people, they were smoking, you may or may not, or may even, you didn't do it on purpose, but you inhaled some of their smoke, it's not going to break your fast. As I said, with food and drink, there's strictness. With this, there is not really much strictness. Okay? If it was inadvertent, it's not going to break your fast. Whereas some very strange person who normally is a smoker, now he's fasting, okay? He sees a group of people on the other side of the road, they're smoking cigarettes, so he thinks, I'm not allowed to smoke. Let me walk past them so I can inhale some of their passive smoke just to get something. His fast will break. Why? Because he done that on purpose. Clear? Okay. So that was taking an inhaler. Number 11, ejaculation due to kissing or touching. This will break the fast, but there is no kafara. This is why I tend to say to people, look, if you think you need to make kafara for fasting, it's always a good idea to check with somebody knowledgeable. Okay? Because, fasting 60 days is a big taker. It's good, mashallah. If you need to do it, you need to do it. Do it for, obviously, you're doing it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is good thing. But check beforehand. I remember many years ago, I was teaching this very handout, and one of the brothers in the class, at the end, he said, I know I have to do kafara. I said, okay, you want to tell me what the issue is so I can confirm for you? He said, no, I'm 100% sure I have to do kafara. Okay? Okay, inshallah, what can I do? He doesn't want to tell me his private affairs. I have no right to push him to tell me. Okay? So a few days later, he came to me and he said, I just want to double check. Okay? I done such and such, and I think this requires kafara. I said to him, no, this does not come to require kafara. It was essentially 11. Okay? Said, I done such and such, and I'd have to do kafara. I said, no, in the Hanafi method, this does not require kafara. What requires kafara is mentioned in the other section. Right. One last point regarding this. And again, I'm bringing up these issues because I hear them. Okay? People say them and misunderstand them, and I'm bringing it up. I'll explain this and I'll come back to your question. Okay? Which is, some people say, well, when you're fasting, you shouldn't sleep. Because when you sleep, you could have, ejaculation, and therefore your fast will break. It is wrong. You can absolutely sleep when you're fasting. There's nothing wrong with that. And if a person was fasting and that was to happen, the fast does not break. This is explicitly mentioned in the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned, ihtilam does not break the fast. Okay, this is in Ibn Majah and in others. It's a Hasan hadith, inshallah. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned it. That will not break the fast. There's nothing wrong with sleeping in the first place. If a person sleeps and has some kind of emission, even that will not break the fast. Okay, question. Yeah.
You have 2 breaks.
Yeah.
Like 1 to 2 years.
On the same day.
On a different day.
Oh.
On 2 separate incidents.
2 separate days.
So do you do 2 times 60 or 60 or 20?
It's a very good question. Okay. We have 2 opinions in the Hanafi method. Okay. Everybody agrees that if it's 2 or 3 breaks in the same Ramadan, only one set of 60. Okay, will suffice. It's called one kafara. One set of 60 will suffice. If it's in the same Ramadan. So same Ramadan 2018, fast number 3, fast number 17, fast number 24, each one of them, he done something from the 3rd block. Okay. He has to do qada of 3 because he broke 3 fasts. One kafara will suffice. That's agreed upon. Okay. What we have some difference of opinion on is if it's been a number of years. I'm sorry, I'm going to go a little bit technical. I don't want to confuse you. I want to give you a full answer, so when you hear some difference of opinion, it doesn't confuse. Okay, where we have difference of opinion is if it happened a number of years. So, for example, 2016, Ramadan 2016, he broke twice. Okay, 2017, he broke 3 times. Okay, 2018, he broke twice again. Okay. Here we have 2 opinions. One says one set of kafara will be with everything before it. Okay? So in the scenario I've just given, he'll do 1 kafara for all of that, and then he'll do 7 qada. Okay? That makes sense? Okay. This is a strong opinion in the Hanafi madhab. The stronger opinion in the Hanafi madhab says the following. It says each Ramadan where he done that requires a separate kafara. So since he done it in 2016, he done it in 2017, he done it in 2018, according to the stronger opinion, he will require 3 sets of kafara. Okay? Does that make sense? Right, let's finish off. We're coming very close to what time is it, Adhan? Oh, okay, we've got a bit of time then. Okay. Right, so we're going to go to the first column now, does not break. These are things that do not break the fast, although a lot of people think they do. Bismillah. No, you do not need to tell them it's kafara, but they need to be genuinely poor. It's not just, let's just feed a bunch of people, whoever comes can. You need to be fairly sure that they are poor, but you don't have to tell them it's kafar. Okay? But it'll have to be 60 different poor people if you do it in one day. Okay? And you could alternatively give them money. You could give them the same money as sadaqatul fitr, roughly £5. You could give them that alternatively. Okay, let's go to this section then. These are things that do not break the fast. Number one, eating something whilst absent-minded. I've already spoken about this. If you are fasting, you become, you're not conscious of the fact that you're fasting. You forget that you're fasting. You eat or you drink, your fast is not going to break, as per the hadith in the Bukhari of the Prophet, Sayyidina Muhammad, sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Okay, number two, eye drops, even if one notices the taste. Okay, eye drops do not break the fast. Okay, why do the Hanafi scholars say this? Because you have a hadith in Ibn Majah, okay, where Sayyidah Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha narrates that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to use kuhal and timani, okay, surma, used to use this whilst in ihram, and he sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to use it whilst fasting. Is that clear for everybody? The Hanafis looked at that hadith and they said, okay, that means if you put something in your eye, it's not going to break your fast. Okay, clear for everybody? I'm just going to go into a little bit of detail regarding this because I do get asked about this every year and there's a little bit of confusion over it. Some scholars nowadays, they say putting eye drops or the like in your eyes breaks your fast. They explain themselves in the following way. They say, look, the scholars who wrote the books of Hanafi fiqh, who said, if you put something in your eye, it doesn't break your fast. They were dependent on medical knowledge of the age. Are you all following this? Okay. And medical knowledge of the age told them that if you put something in your eye, there's no way it's going to end up in your stomach. Clear? And these scholars, they will say, nowadays, medical experts in our time, they tell us, no, when you put something in your eye, it can end up in your stomach. I don't know, I'm not a medical expert, I'm quoting them. Okay? We say to such people, your analysis would be sound if there was no hadith. Okay? Since we have a hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we are not interested in the medical reality of it. Okay? Because the Prophet ﷺ wasn't teaching us anatomy or biology. The Prophet ﷺ was teaching us the law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So irrespective of whether you put something in your eye, ends up in your stomach, or doesn't end up in your stomach, it will not break your fast because the Prophet ﷺ did not consider it to break your fast. This is important. I want to emphasize this a little bit. Okay? When you have a hadith or an ayah of the Holy Quran, we have no right to say, oh, medical science says it this way or this way, therefore we're going to follow that. The Quran is not speaking about medical science. The hadith is not speaking about medical science. And there are clearly situations where something ends up in your stomach and it doesn't break your fast. I've given you an example of this already. Which example did I give you? Somebody eats or drinks forgetfully. Something reaches your stomach, your fast didn't break because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala overlooks this. Okay? We can say the same for putting eye drops in your eye. Okay, even if it ends up in your stomach, this is overlooked. What's our evidence for it? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Is that clear for everybody? You cannot start analyzing things like this in the face of hadith. Okay? When you have hadith, you cannot do this. Okay? When there's no hadith, fine. Because these scholars say the same regarding ears. Okay? Because in the Hanafi madhab, they said if you put like water or something like this in your ear, your fast is going to break, as we read earlier. Okay? Water or eardrops, your fast is going to break. That's what the Hanafi scholars said. They have no clear hadith, no explicit clear hadith to base that on. It was their understanding of anatomy. Okay, and so some scholars say, well, nowadays modern medical science is telling us if you put it in your ear, there's no way it's going to end up in your stomach. We should say the fast is not broken. Okay, that's reasonable. Because there they have contradicted the scholars of the madhab based on their understanding of medical science, not based on hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So that's reasonable, inshallah. Okay. Number 3, water entering the ears if not done deliberately. I've spoken about this. Number 4, smoke or dust not taken deliberately. I spoke about this. Inadvertently, steam, etc., entering in your mouth will not break your fast. Taking anything through the veins, e.g., injections. This is important. Okay. In the Hanafi madhab, they're very clear about this. if you take something in your veins, okay, or into your muscles, you inject it, this is not going to break your fast. Okay, because they say what breaks your fast is putting something in your stomach. Okay, this is not going into your stomach. Yes.
Dialysis.
Dialysis.
Yeah. They are going to be able to pass.
I'm not familiar with the process. Please explain it a little bit. What happens?
But basically, externally, the top actually cleans the blood so that the two tubes
The two tubes are in the heart.
yeah, the veins basically,
Yeah.
and the blood is actually cleansed by the
So the blood is being taken out, cleansed, and put back in. This will not break the fast. No. What breaks the fast is something into the stomach itself. Okay. So this will not break the fast.
blood.
Yeah. You have you have this a little bit of controversy regarding hijama. Okay, because in one hadith the Prophet ﷺ said, are you familiar with hijama, blood cupping? In one hadith, it's certainly in Abi Dawood and it's sound, but it's also found in Bukhari, but it's not so clear. Okay, so clear in terms of the sanad for it. But there's a hadith, sound hadith, where the Prophet ﷺ said the one who does the cupping and the recipient of the cupping has broken the fast. This is hadith. Clear? But you also have another hadith in Sahih al-Bukhari also, where it's mentioned the Prophet ﷺ was fasting and he had hijama done. Is that clear for everybody? The Hanafis looked at this and they analyzed it and understood it in the following way. They said, where the Prophet ﷺ said it breaks the fast, he was being metaphorical, not literal, okay? And where the Prophet ﷺ was fasting and had hijama done and carried on with his fast, that's going to be taken literally. Okay, so why am I mentioning this? Extracting blood from the body, according to the Hanafi understanding of the Hadith literature, extracting blood from your body will not break your fast. Is that clear? Okay. So, and also as mentioned here, taking an injection will not break your fast. Does that mean people who are diabetic can fast? Well, they should seek medical advice. Okay? If their physician tells them, reliable Muslim physician tells them that, look, yeah, as long as you're taking your insulin, you're going to be fine. You inject it, you're going to be fine. Fast, even though the fast is quite long nowadays, go ahead and fast. Okay? Whereas if the medical professional says, no, because of your condition, not only do you need to take insulin or whatever you need to inject into yourself, but you need to eat every 4 or 5 hours, then obviously such a person is not going to be able to fast. Is that clear for everybody? Okay. So I have no right to sit here and say, oh, people who are diabetic, they can fast because they can inject themselves. It's not just a matter of injecting themselves. They have to give consideration to other things. So they should speak to medical professionals and seek clarification with regards to that. Number 6, I've already covered, blood cupping. So it is permissible to give blood, and giving blood will not break your fast. Swallowing something left in the mouth, which is less than the size of a chickpea, this I've already spoken about, because if it's bigger than the size of a chickpea, it will break your fast. If it's smaller, it will not break your fast. Number 8, vomiting without swallowing it. This I've also spoken about. Vomiting will not break your fast. What will break your fast regarding vomiting? If you make yourself vomit, that will break your fast. And naturally, vomiting will not. This is a new one. Tasting food without swallowing. This is normally makruh, no doubt. Okay? If you do not swallow it, it will not break your fast. What does that mean? They give example in the books of fiqh. They say if somebody is, cooking, for example, takes a little bit of what they're cooking, places it on the tongue to taste it, then gets rid of it and washes it out and spits it out, the fast will not break. This is normally makruh. Okay, but it doesn't break the fast. If there's a good reason to do it, then it won't be makruh either. And finally, number 10, I've already spoken about experiencing rendering during the night or the day. This will not break your fast. Any questions? Bismillah. Sorry? Yeah. 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 If he's broken the fast because he needed to eat or take medication other than injection, because injection will break his fast, he needed to eat or drink or take medication, otherwise his condition is going to get very bad. He is obliged to take that medication. Okay? We don't say he's allowed. If he's going to get severely ill, he is obliged. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it obligatory upon us to preserve our bodies. And we cannot, endanger our well-being. So if not eating, drinking, taking medicine, etc., is going to endanger him, he must break his fast. And obviously, there's no kafara upon him. We just make up that fast. Yes, he has to keep the fast later, unless his health deteriorates such that he can't fast at all. Then he'll go to a different option. Any other questions? Bismillah.
People with diabetes, you cannot fast all the month. You stop. Is it enough for them, or is it far?
Yeah, this is a very good question. The people with diabetes or any illness really, what we will say, if they can't fast, especially now the fast is, kind of springtime, the fast is very, very long. If they say, I've been advised by qualified Muslim doctors not to fast these fasts, it's too much, it's going to be significantly detrimental to my health, what should I do? Our first port of call will be qada. We'll ask this person, okay, fine, no problem, we understand. But can you make these fasts up in, say, November, December, January, where the day is very short? Speak to your doctor and ask if that's possible. If the fast is, say, I don't know, 10 hours or what have you, can you fast then? If he says yes, we're going to say, of course, you're going to have to do qada then. Okay? If he says, no, my doctor's told me I have to essentially eat something or drink something every 3 to 4 hours, we'll say, okay, you have no option but to pay fidya. It's called fidya. For every fast, he will pay the same amount of sadaqah, as sadaqah, roughly £5 for every fast. Okay. Any questions this side? No questions at all? Okay. Yes, Bismillah. Sorry, say that again, brother. Accidentally breaking the fast, they are quite uncommon examples. You see, it's unlikely. The most common one is the one I gave, but you're making wudu, you're fasting, you're making wudu, you're not trying not to swallow water, but you still swallow water. Another example a brother mentioned to me recently is reasonable. I said to him, yeah, it works, which is you're fasting and it starts to rain. Okay? You're fasting, you're trying not to swallow the rain, but despite that, you end up swallowing it, your fast will break. It's accidental. Now, no sin, obviously, but the fast will break. Once again, if there's a doubt, the fast is not broken. We will not say, oh, you were outside and it was raining. It's inevitable you swallowed the rain. No, we're not going to say that. The Prophet ﷺ permitted ghusl whilst you're fasting and didn't say it's inevitable you're going to swallow. You see what I mean? Yeah. Sorry, I think we're out of time. Are we out of time, brother? Okay. Ask me afterwards, inshallah. We should break. They need to make another. I'll come to you. We'll speak now, inshallah. Yeah. Can you turn this on? Yeah.
Can you fast?
Yeah. If a person requires not for menstruation, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح
حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح. قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
استووا واعتدلوا وتراصوا. Please make sure the safs are straight. Everyone's heels should be in line. Allahu Akbar. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. آمين. فإن تولوا فقل آذنتكم على سواء وإن أدري أقريب أم بعيد ما توعدون إنه يعلم الجهر من القول ويعلم ما تكتمون وإن أدري لعله فتنة لكم ومتاع إلى حين قال رب احكم بالحق وربنا الرحمن المستعان على ما تصفون. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. آمين. قل يا أيها الكافرون لا أعبد ما تعبدون تعبدون ولا أنتم عابدون ما أعبد ولا أنتم عابدون ما أعبد لكم دينكم ولي دين. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
جزاك الله خير to Shaykh Noorud-Deen, inshallah. Very concise, very beautifully elegant. In a short amount of time, gave us a quick overview of what we need to know the month of Ramadan, inshallah. Shaykh Noorud-Deen will be here for after the main about 10 minutes only. There were some more questions at the end, only related to what we discussed. Please, we keep it to the topic of Ramadan. We thank you for our community, on behalf of everybody here. Came all the way from Luton. And it's really, really honorable to be one of my teachers 3 years ago. And he came here, gave us a great service to this community, and I hope we can appreciate that, inshallah.
اللهم امين. اللهم انت السلام انت السلام حينا ربنا بالسلام ادخلنا دار اللهم ربنا وتعاليت يا ذا الجلال والاكرام. اللهم ربي اعنا على ذكرك وشكرك وحسن عبادتك. اللهم ربنا فاغفر لنا ذنوبنا واسرافنا في امرنا وثبت اقدامنا وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه. اللهم إنا نسألك الجنة جنة الفردوس ونعوذ بك من عذاب النار. يا خالق الجنة والنار برحمتك يا عزيز يا غفار يا كريم يا ستار يا رحيم يا جبار يا خالق يا بر. اللهم أجرنا وخلصنا من النار. اللهم أجرنا وخلصنا من النار. اللهم أجرنا وخلصنا من النار. يا مجير يا مجير يا مجير برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.